the running lifestyle. We're running. Some people say, oh, you got to talk to my friend. He does like 50-mile races. I'm like, well, that's nice. But tell me about the mom who runs, 3 miles a day so she can take care of everything else. I am what they call a mid to the back of the pack runner. What I'm all about is, you know what? Running is a gift. And I want to do this the rest of my life. And it helps balance so many other parts of my life out.
ADHD Rewired, episode number 28. This is the show designed to help those of us who have really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. Whether you have ADHD and you want to learn more about it, or you are looking for ways to organize your time, your things, or the many details of life so you can get more done, this show is for you. My name is Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, coach, and consultant. We know that starting is the hardest part, so let's get started. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free download and a 30-day free trial. Go to audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. Today's interview with Kari Gormey was really fun. So in the beginning, I was kind of giving her a hard time about some of the technical issues regarding scheduling and related it to basically a missed appointment. There was an ADHD moment there, and I know that I have had many of those, so I could so relate. And I actually just got done being interviewed for her show, and our shows are going to actually air on the same day. So if you're listening to this on the same day, go check out her podcast, The Running Lifestyle Show. It's a lifestyle show, and it's way more than just about running. It's really about, our lives that we're constantly running to kind of keep up with everything. So I would really encourage you to check that out. I just found it so easy to talk to Kari, and I saw myself watching the clock, seeing that my time that I allotted had run out, and I just wanted to keep talking with her because I just think she's so fantastic. She's doing so many different things. I mean, she's doing a 3-day-a-week podcast, which I just got to hand it to her because I think that I couldn't even imagine doing that. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. I just want to encourage you to go check out her podcast, especially this week. It's September. Actually, today, as I'm recording this, it is September 11th. It will be out on Monday. I don't know what the date is. I'm not looking at my calendar. So check out her podcast. She's doing some really good things, and it's one of those podcasts that you're like, whoa, I am glad that I checked this out, because even though I'm not a runner, there's actually a lot of good info that she's giving, and she's talking to a lot of really cool people on her show. So check it out without any further delay, distraction, or shiny objects. Here's my interview with Kari Gormey. I am here with my guest, Kari Gormey. Kari, did I get that right?
You did. Thank you.
We were just talking about how I often will botch names the moment I'm about to say them. So, which is much better than it was easier for me to say that than what's your other?
Yeah. So my maiden name is Kopodlansky, and we were kind of laughing here as fellow Midwesterners. I'm from the Milwaukee area, and one time I was on a flight out in Seattle, and I was trying to get back to Milwaukee, and it was delayed, and I said to the flight attendant in Seattle, you can get me to Chicago or to Milwaukee. And he said, with a name like Kopodlansky, yeah, I believe it.
So here's kind of what's going on with this interview today. So I was supposed to be on Kari's podcast this morning. She has the podcast, Runners. Just go ahead and introduce the podcast.
It's the Running Lifestyle Show, creating a way of life for the long run.
So I was really excited about being on her podcast. We were scheduled for, I think it was 10 o'clock, and I'm all ready to go, and it's 10 o'clock, and no sign of Kari. And until about 11-ish or so, I get you messaged me back. And what happened?
So basically what happened, and this is the first time it's ever happened with a fellow podcaster, is I did not check my calendar in the morning. And school just started for my son yesterday. And Okay, I can't believe it. I was honest with you. Now I'm honest on your podcast. I was at a mother's coffee, okay, and I missed it because I did not look at my calendar, and I had missed another appointment, but I was able to go late to that. And I thought, I should look at my calendar if there's anything else. But then I was on to the next thing, and yeah, and usually this doesn't happen. So going forward, because of this, Eric, I will forever check my calendar multiple times a day and think of you. And second of all, there is a service called Schedule Once that our mutual friend John Lee Dumas is a huge fan of from Podcasters Paradise. And I finally got that pretty much installed today to help things in the future.
Yes, I don't use that one. I use another one, but I've been thinking about switching over to Schedule Once. And what made me do that is after, I don't know, the 10th time of either my error or a client's error of being double booked on my calendar, I now I try to make the human factor not a factor. And so I schedule all of my clients online now, and it's just so much easier. So, we fail forward, we make mistakes. And so the other part of this, as we're trying to figure out when we're going to reschedule that interview, this interview that we're having right now wasn't scheduled. We just said, hey, should we just do this now? And I was like, okay. So right now it's 7:27 p.m. on Thursday, September 4th. And I recently set up Mac Freedom on my computer. So exactly at 8 p.m., my internet is going to be shut off. So we have to stay focused. Okay.
I just nodded my head.
And my medication is completely worn off by now. So it was kind of funny that I even said that. But let's see what happens. Okay, so you're a runner, you're a life coach, is that?
Yeah, I'm not a certified life coach. Basically, I have a sales and marketing background and a degree from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, so close to your neck of the woods. Okay. And long story short, I was in sales and marketing for 10 years in Sweden and also here on the East Coast. And after I got married, my husband and I were talking. I was like, well, what do you want to do? And I had become a lifetime member for Weight Watchers, meaning I had lost weight and I had kept it off. And so I became a Weight Watchers leader and loved it. Went to a lot of offices and really neat places in D.C. And fast forward, I knew someday I wanted to take my passion for helping people and being a public speaker and to combine that with my marketing experience. And I found that podcasts had changed my life. Like literally changed my life when I started listening to them. So I decided to go forward. So with my podcast, The Running Lifestyle Show, Creating a Way of Life for the Long Run, it's about how do we balance running with everything else in our life, and how do we use running as a tool, meaning, hey, if I can go for a run, I'm going to calm down, or I'm going to be more regulated. My body, is going to be calmer and I can focus better. But also while running, those great ideas happen a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And my absolute favorite thing is to go running with some friends and to discuss ideas for the business and to solve problems, because it feels like we can solve world peace sometimes while we're running. It's
great. I mean, I do a lot more biking than I do a runner. I was telling my wife that I was going to be on this podcast, on your podcast, and she was like, why? And I responded to her. I said, well, I'm sometimes running late.
Yes, and you get it. It's a double entendre. It is. The running lifestyle. We're running. Some people say, oh, you got to talk to my friend. He does like 50-mile races. I'm like, well, that's nice, but tell me about the mom who runs, 3 miles a day so she can take care of everything else.
Right, and that's where exercise for me fits into my life. And I'm hoping that maybe you can share some tips about how to add exercise and build exercise into your routine in a little bit. I want to get to know kind of who you are and how all this kind of fits into ADHD Rewired. So, like many of the people on the show, you were diagnosed as an adult?
Mm-hmm. Very recently.
Okay. How new is this diagnosis to you?
I mean, really saying, yes, you indeed have it. I'd say it's about 3 months old. It's that, yeah.
Wow. So it still has that new diagnosis smell.
It does, but it's, it's something like we kind of like always knew was there, but then it was kind of like, well, what was going on in my life? It wasn't that big of a problem. But then launching a podcast and a business, it just, whoa. Put it into turbo. And
so were things kind of falling apart for you in some ways?
It was more so, I wouldn't say falling. You know what? It was being more aware of time, really. I don't think I really realized how much time I could waste in doing things, and it made me more productive, where it's like, okay, we all have the same amount of time. How are we going to manage this? And having better tools and systems of doing this, and like going to schedule once and relying more on a calendar. But then also reading a book by your friend, Ari Tuckman, who's actually here in the Wilmington, Delaware, Philadelphia area, of recognizing these things. And when we talk about the new diagnosis, I didn't really realize it, really realize it until a woman, I call her my ADHD sister, or she's ADD, whatever. I know it's all the same thing. Anyway, Helena Buchez, who I met through Peter Shankmind's group, and Peter Shankman is very much, I have ADHD. It is a gift. It is a trait. I'm super creative. And she had been diagnosed at 50. And through working with her within the group and us working one-on-one with a trade we were doing, we realized, wow, you have it too. You need to read this book, Driven to Distraction. Mm-hmm. And I think there are 80 or 90 traits or so. And I just laughed at them. I was like, well, yeah.
You wrote this book about me.
Yeah. And, it made so much sense where when I was in grade school, I was the girl who had a hard time reading until, third or fourth grade. I was the girl who'd say, okay, Kari, no more talking. And I'd keep on talking and have 3 check marks against my name. There are some things today that are even hard to do, where I tried to learn how to sail and with all those knots, and that is not my thing. And also it's with technology, it was, okay, what am I good at? Really understanding, what am I good at? Where do I shine? What do I love to do? Where do I feel like I'm on top of the world? And the stuff that pulls me down, if I can outsource it, do it. And
Kari, what you're talking about, I refer to as our green zone and our red zone. Our green zone is the stuff that almost feels like play. It's like the stuff that we could do all day long. We don't consider it work. It's fun, and we're good at it, and we're natural at it. The red zone is the stuff that gives us anxiety. That even if it's not like overly difficult or challenging, just our brain doesn't process it well. This past week I usually have my wife come to my office once a week to kind of just help me clean up, go through paperwork, just do the stuff that I put off. And that's part of the system that I have in my life, to kind of not let things get, too backed up. And we were going through some emails with my biller and her, and just asking me, well, did you respond to this email? And I just felt this, like, almost my blood boiling. I was like, I didn't remember if I responded. I don't remember what happened. It was like 2 weeks ago that I didn't respond to this email. And it was completely, my response to the situation was completely irrational, and I was aware of it. And I kind of got up from my computer and I said, I hate that this stuff makes me feel this way, and so it's just understanding that and accepting that that's my red zone. That is, it's administrative work. It's just my brain just shuts down and gets overwhelmed by it. So I'm still working on outsourcing more and more of that stuff. But even doing so is hard, because you have to be able to communicate what it is that you want somebody else to do.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, you kind of need to know how to do it so you can keep on track. It's challenging. But it's like having those systems and almost being accountable. And then interviewing people. I interviewed one guy on my podcast because I love how organized he is. Jeff Sanders from the 5 a.m. podcast.
Yes. I like
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
He's on my show if you want to listen to his episode. He was really good. I got a lot of great feedback. But the point being is, I was kind of asking him, so, like, if you think of something, how do you take care of it? He said, well, I put it into my system, and I'm like, what if you have to do something right away? He's like, well, if it takes 2 minutes or less, I do it. And so I'm trying to keep that in mind. Like, can this email be responded in 2 minutes or less?
That whole notion is from the David Allen's kind of getting things done methodology. And it's funny because sometimes the task can be done in 2 minutes. Sometimes it can't. It kind of depends what state of mind you're in. And that's something that I think is very related to having ADHD. It's, it's all the information that we have. It's in our brain, but it's not always available. And that's where it can be frustrating.
Where you've had this struggle, and then a couple of days later, like, duh, like, why didn't I think of that? Like, it's so obvious. Like, I didn't know when a credit card bill was coming. I was talking to my husband about it. And then a couple of days later, I'm like, why don't I just call and ask them? I have the credit card here. I can ask them. Because I was worried it was like in the P.O. box, while I was on vacation. And like, why didn't I just call and be done with it? Like, why didn't I think of it? And I yelled at him, like, why didn't you think of that? and he's really good with stuff like that. So point is, we're not perfect. No one's perfect, and being okay with that. But like you said, like, is this a red zone thing or not? Or if it's something we don't like picking up the house, I'll put on a podcast, and I'm happy as can be then, because I'm getting something accomplished. I'm getting that positive energy. I mean, I'm not listening to podcasts where people complain all the time. I don't know if those even exist, but
I'm sure they're out there.
I'm sure but I don't need to listen to that. It's like being aware. I don't know if you found this, Eric, but through this kind of entrepreneurial space we're in, I hear this consistently, and I've really taken it to heart, is that we are the sum of the 5 closest people.
Yeah.
So those people, you got to pick wisely. Now, some people, okay, we can't choose necessarily, but we can choose how much time we spend with them, perhaps, and how we react, because if there's anything that we know, it's the only person we can control is ourselves. And if we're out of control sometimes, it's, okay, I'm sorry, and move forward and try the best we can.
Yeah.
If that's ever happened to you.
Yeah. So we're thinking about kind of surrounding ourselves with positivity, and we were talking about kind of the things that we're good at, and so our green zone, and the things that are our red zone. Let's kind of shift this over to talking about running, because that's your green zone. And then you shared something with me before we hit record, because I posted a question on my Facebook community, letting people know that this last minute interview was taking place. And I had one runner ask the question, could he, and I think he was sort of pulling my chain, but I'm not sure. He said, can she beat my time of 2 minutes and 58 seconds or something like that? 2 hours and 58 seconds. Yes. That would make more sense.
Yes. 2 hours and 58 minutes.
Yes.
No way, Jose. No way. And that's not what I'm all about. I have done 2 marathons. I am what they call a mid to the back of the pack runner. And what I'm all about is, you know what? Running is a gift. And I want to do this the rest of my life. And it helps balance so many other parts of my life out. So I'm that person to go to say, okay, let's look at the big picture. What are your priorities? What is your North Star? If this isn't happening, what happens to the rest of your life? And let's make up a schedule together that you can do, and let's work on one small change at a time, because it's overwhelming, right? It's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. But if we can focus on that one thing, okay, let's get this going, and then what's next? So, for instance, my podcast has been launched just for almost 2 months now. And we're having our first challenge, which will be in September, and it's going to be all about 5 to 7 times a week. So you can do it multiple times a day, but to write down 3 things you're grateful for. Because it's so easy. I mean, you're the therapist. Our brains are wired to look at the negative, right? I mean, that's just how we're wired.
It's a survival mechanism. Seeing the how wonderful the butterflies are, is good as we might be at that, doesn't keep us alive. Always being on guard for risk, that's what keeps us alive. So in a lot of ways, it's a more adaptive survival mechanism, but it's not actually effective for us.
Right. And it's looking at, those beautiful things. And, it's funny because, going back to the whole Peter Shake Minds group, it was another person I work with quite a bit, and he has ADHD. And the big thing is, like, we're talking is like, squirrel! And we were recently traveling with, exactly. And the funny thing is, we were recently in Paris. We love to travel, and for us, it's all about experiences. I would love to have a brand new kitchen, but I'd rather spend that money on a trip. And we were staying at a hotel we had used credit card points for, and it was really nice. And it was right next to Chapard, and I'm trying to run. I'm like, whoa, like these diamond rings, and. So I was like thinking, like, instead of squirrel, it's like diamond rings.
They are shiny.
Yeah, they are. So, so it's really all about like this lifestyle. So it's, it's combining my joy for running, but also helping people. So it's like, okay, what is your running goal? But why are you doing that? And how can we also help you be injury free? Because there's a joke with runners. It's like, yeah, I'm a runner in between injuries. And
well, let me ask you about that, because I am of the belief, and I've never had any professional consultation about this, that I don't have the running body. I when I was in high school, I played football for like 2 years. I was actually awful. My position I played was left out.
That's so good.
But the training for it, though, it really helped me get in probably the best shape that I'd ever been in. But so we finished our practices, and we had to, I think, do a full lap around our like back 40, which I don't know how long the distance was, but I was like almost always the last one. I just felt like I was never, even when I was in good shape, I couldn't run. And when I was in really good shape, I could bike sometimes for up to 4 hours, and I was biking every day. I'm not there anymore. When you have a business and a family, you don't have that kind of time anymore. It's to go 4 hours on a bike trail would just be amazing. Anyways, a little reminiscing there. So what if I said, well, maybe I could be a runner. Maybe my form isn't good. Is it a thing of form? Do some people not have a body built for running? I've also heard that, humans aren't designed to be runners. Like, so what are these things that am I talking about are true? What's not?
Yeah. It's so interesting you say that. And it's about point of view. I'm actually involved with a program, or I do it, called Balance Athlete. Mm-hmm. And the whole notion behind that is that we're not taught how to move. And if we're not moving properly, then we're going to have injuries. So it's a class that's taught by a man named Donnie Gillespie, who's created it. And it's being franchised, and I think it could be the next CrossFit. I mean, it's really good, where it's about strengthening different parts of your body so that you can run. And so, for instance, like in the class, he'll watch me and he's like, Kari, kick your legs. You're a runner. And so, like, when you're a slower runner, when you're a distance runner, a lot of times you don't want to kick as much because it's more energy, but then you're setting yourself up for injury. So if this, taking it full circle, it's like, where are you strong? There are things called chi running, which really works with how you're striking, how your foot's striking when you hit the ground. So it's really being mindful of how you're moving, how you're running. And yoga plays a big part of that too, because, that's balance. And some people say the best thing you could ever do actually really is yoga, because for people in their 80s, their 70s, they're saying the number one way of death is falling.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's
so
strengthening.
I'm wondering too, because I know that when I'm biking, that I'm really paying attention, that I'm really trying to put equal, because a lot of people when they bike, they just put pressure on the down pedal when it's going forward. Right. And you're really supposed to also almost be like kicking up dirt in a sense. Yep. So you're putting equal pressure on each foot, on both, on each foot, all the way around, and you're shifting the muscles that you're using. And I could only imagine that there's probably some kind of form like that for running, and my body just, I feel like I've like two left legs or something when I run.
No, and that's interesting. So I was listening to your podcast with Kirsten Milliken, and I loved how you said something like, "Oh, running's the best thing for endorphin high," and she said, "No, you want to play dodgeball. That will give someone with ADHD a better, kick, so to speak." And a shot to the, with dopamine.
Playing with other people is way more fun than playing with yourself.
But it made sense because then you have that interaction, that team spirit. And that's why, things like CrossFit are so big, right? Mm-hmm. You're all in this together, and you're trying to, same things with these Spartan races. It's really exciting. I don't know if you know, Eric, but running is going through a huge boom right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's everything you can think of. And a lot of people will actually attribute that, one, to social media, like, "Ooh, look what I did, and look at me with my medal." But another thing is that it's about the experiences, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what life is. And it's more of these like, okay, is there a color run? And I love the idea of what's happening with these because it's bringing people together and they're exercising and they're having that dopamine rush together. And, you know, I believe that Kirsten was saying next to medicine, this is the best thing you can do.
Yeah. It's well, she's saying not just like next to medicine, but just the best like non-medication component to managing ADHD.
Right.
Is, you know, she was saying that it is that exercise, but the playful base exercise. Make it fun. So on my podcast, I always intro it with, you know, starting is the hardest part. And so when I try to get people started with an exercise routine, one of the things that I really encourage them to do is to start slow and grow. And, you know, so I'll see people who say, all right, I'm going to start it. I'm going to do it for half an hour. I was like, no, do it for 5 minutes and don't do it more than that. And then tomorrow, if you want to do it tomorrow, do it for 6 or 7 minutes. If you stay consistent and just really incrementally, where it almost seems too easy, like you're cheating, you're at the right place. And if you really look at towards a month to 2 months, you're going to be right where you want to be. Would you say that that's the approach you take?
Absolutely. And the thing is with like distance running is a lot of people remember, and a lot of guests say this on the podcast, oh, I hated doing the presidential fitness 1 mile race. I hated that.
Me too.
Yeah. Yes, so many people. Yes. And they're like, no,
I'm ashamed of my time.
Yeah. No, and you know, and that's the thing is like, but for distance running, it's about the long, slow run. Mm-hmm. You should be able to have a conversation. And the whole idea, Jeff Galloway is huge about this, and he partners with Run Disney, is you run a little bit, then you walk. And he's qualified for the Boston Marathon, I mean, for this. So it's really, you know, can I get to the mailbox and then I'll walk? And as a marathoner, who I've done 2 marathons. I've never done this process, but I am kind of sort of injured right now. I have a really sprained toe, and the Chicago Marathon coming up. And I know if I'm able to do it, I'm doing 2 miles running, 1 mile walking, just because that balance things out. And I don't think I'm gonna be faster. I don't care. I just want to do it at this point. But you know, it's kind of like college. So let's say you're going to get a bachelor's degree, and you know you need to take all those prerequisites. It's not like the first day of college you graduate with your diploma. You know, and it's the same type of thing with running. And yeah, and that's where this is really about the lifestyle. And I cringe when I hear, you know, people like the person on your site, like, I did this. And it's like, yep, if you want to go see someone get you faster, go for it. There are plenty of guys out there, women out there. But if you want to know, hey, I want to fit this into my lifestyle, how do I balance this? How do I stay in the green zone? I'm your girl then. That's what I'm about, because running has impacted my life so much. I know so many other people, and I just want to share those stories. In this medium we have as a podcaster, I mean, how fortunate are we?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's let me ask, is there a book or a resource that you recommend that can help people kind of I don't know, gain the point of view or the things that you find are important, where they can learn more about running and some of the stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, there are some books about half marathon training you can get. There's also the book Born to Run. I really like this book that's written by one of the runners world. I don't know if he's the editor, but it's called Running Rules, and he writes it really funny. But you know, I would encourage anyone, if you have a goal or something, you know, get on an email list for this. Join a meetup group. Get Runner's World magazine. When I started running, I read that constantly. You know, in that magazine, I've met a lot of those people at the Marine Corps Marathon. They did something, and you know, it's like anything. Do you ever agree 100% with anything, with a person, with their beliefs, with the book? No, but I think they have a lot of good information in there.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's tricky because they have a lot of good information. We disagree about how to fuel for a long run, but that's fine.
Okay. So, Kari, you just gave us some really good resources, and I'm going to have links to all of those on the show notes page on ADHDrewired.com. And I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor. On episode 26, I told you that I just downloaded Eat That Frog, 21 great ways to stop procrastinating and get more done in less time. I'm on the last chapter, and I want to encourage you to check it out. Now, just like Kari was saying, that you're not going to agree with everything you read. And I would say that 90% of what was in this book was great and relevant to improving productivity with ADHD. He discusses ways to think about prioritization and encourages you to track your time, which is something we are actually doing right now in the ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Group. I would give this book 4 shiny stars, and without a doubt is worth your time, especially with a free download. Go to audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. Seriously, eat that frog. Go to audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. All right, Kari, now we are back. So I'm looking at the time, and we have about 10 minutes left before the internet gets shut off. Isn't this kind of fun?
It is. It's exciting.
It really is. It's like that last
gosh.
minute. It's like the internet is actually going to be shut off.
Focus.
Okay. We talked about favorite books. Is there an area that you're struggling with right now is in the terms of running your business, the podcast, and how it relates to your ADHD?
Absolutely. I decided I've been working this for months and months, and my son had 2 months off from school, and those 2 months I took 5 different trips, and I thought it would be a brilliant idea to launch the podcast in the middle of it. So, and it's like, just do it. And I know this is all working out for a reason, but it's been a challenge to really, because every time we'd come back from a trip, then I had to turn and burn. And my podcast is 3 times a week. And
is it really?
Yeah. So it is. It's 2 are interviews, and then 1 is like me one-on-one pretty much, or more interviews. So basically I am working on having more quality time with my family and my health. When we talk about the North Star, my health has to be there so I can take care of everything else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fallen apart. My running got limited, even training for a marathon and launching a business and a podcast and traveling 5 times, in 2 months.
Yeah, it's exciting. So we get so involved in it, and then we don't even realize it, but we run out of gas. And it's like then we have no energy for anything else. That's why we have 8 minutes to go before the internet gets shut off. It's something that I set up for myself because my willpower after my medicine wears off, it doesn't exist. So I'll tell myself I want to be home somewhere between 8 or 9 o'clock, and I end up getting home at midnight. And it's so frustrating because I'm very aware that I want to stop what I'm doing and go home. But there's just one more thing, and one more thing, and one more thing. So... Yep. Speaking of one more thing, I didn't actually tell you about this part of the show, but this is the last part of the show where I'm going to ask you some questions that have absolutely nothing to do with ADHD, nothing to do with you. It's the random question round. Are you ready?
Freddie.
Okay. What do you think is going to be the next big thing?
Oh my gosh! People who stop being connected so much online because it's impacting their lives too much. So they're going to really detox from the electronic world.
Awesome. What's your favorite junk food?
Oh, that's chocolate covered pretzels. They're gluten free.
What's your favorite game show on TV?
Oh, gosh, I don't.
And it does not need to still be on the air.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as a kid, I loved, the one with the you slammed you didn't want to get the Joker and you had the things going around in a circle, the squares.
Hollywood.
No.
The one that goes, no whammy, no whammy?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? No whammy, no whammy?
No, but they say it. Oh, my gosh. You're going to have that. Listeners, please put it on your Facebook account. Oh, you know what I mean. Like, no, you're right.
It
no
might
whammy,
be
no
called
whammy.
that.
No whammy, no whammy?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're full of it. Sorry. No, I don't think it is. I don't know. But maybe it is. Oh, this is going to drive me nuts now.
Okay. What is a pet peeve that bothers you when you go grocery shopping?
Oh, people who see someone they know and they stand in the middle of the aisle and they don't move and try to get out of the way. I mean, I'm all for talking to someone, right? But like, go off to the side. And the second one, if I may, is when I lived in Sweden, this was very interesting, is like, and a lot of Americans would say this, is like people would bump into you, but they wouldn't say, excuse me. And it was almost like it was socially accepted. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I love Sweden. Swedish people are amazing. That was just kind of my pet peeve in a grocery store in Sweden.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
To take back all the things I regret saying or doing.
I love that. I think I want to end on that.
I sound like a horrible person.
No, look, we all have those things. We all have those things. Do I want to? And then I feel like there's something else I wanted to ask you about, and I'm totally forgetting about it. I remembered. Do you have a favorite app? I'm totally going out of order.
Yeah. No, a favorite. Stitcher.
Okay. What about for productivity?
Oh, I wish I had one. I don't have an app for productivity, but I understand you have a lot on your website.
Yes.
I need to check it out. In fact, I need.
You should come and join our Facebook community, the ADHD Rewired Facebook community. We do a lot of kind of accountability for each other, but also and the website too. For each episode, there are show notes that have links to various apps that I talk about. We are at 4 minutes at counting before we get disconnected. So before we lose our internet connection, Kari, can you tell people where they can reach you?
Sure. Thanks for asking. You can check me out on the website at therunninglifestyle.com. You also can find me, of course, in iTunes and Stitcher with The Running Lifestyle Show. And I like to go on Facebook, Kari Gormey, or The Running Lifestyle Show, and Twitter. I've just started tweeting a lot more.
Me too. I'm just finally kind of figuring it out. I don't fully get it, but I think I'm figuring it out.
I don't either. I'm in a group with a woman her name is Tina Pettis. She's all about Twitter, and she's great. Yeah. And our group, Podcasters Paradise, you missed the conference, Eric, but there are a lot of great tips of people going back and forth sharing ideas, especially about Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter's the place, I guess.
I wanted to go. I even had it on my calendar. I keep thinking that somehow I'm going to figure out a way at the last minute to go. I don't know who I was kidding.
No, but we'll meet up in Chicago. We're going to have like a Podcasters Unite.
Yes.
And
if you're interested, November 13th through the 15th is the CHAD conference in Chicago. CHAD it's a national organization for ADHD. I'm going to be speaking there, so you should definitely come out. It's a great conference.
I'm going to keep that in mind. Maybe I could have a visit to Milwaukee at the same time.
All right, Milwaukee. Yes, yes. Any last words of wisdom before I say goodbye?
My mantra in life is the answer is no until you ask.
I like that. Well, Kari, thank you so much. Congratulations on the launch of your podcast and for doing a 3-day-a-week podcast. That's good for you. Good luck. That's great. You're doing great things. Keep running.
Nice pun intended.
Yes.
Nice. Thanks so much, Eric. I really appreciate coming on your show, and I look forward to having you over on the Running Lifestyle Show. And I will join your Facebook group. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Great. Fantastic. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, ADHD Rewired listeners, you have just listened to another episode of ADHD Rewired. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I want to thank you. This past week, ADHD Rewired hit 50,000 downloads. Thank you for listening, sharing, and leaving your reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. These reviews have helped ADHD Rewired be as successful as it has been. But if you haven't done so, set a reminder in your phone to leave a review. And don't forget to check out Kari's podcast, The Running Lifestyle Show. It just so happens that this interview will be airing on the same day as my interview on her show. So go check it out. And if you like either of our shows, let us know by leaving a review on iTunes and Stitcher. We thank you for it. Do you have a story to share about your ADHD? If you want to be a guest on ADHD Rewired, go to ADHDrewired.com and click on the yellow Be a Guest bar. I would like to encourage you to not just be a passive listener, but become an active member of our growing online community. Like us on Facebook, but get involved in the community and find accountability partners and take part in my productivity challenges. I respond to most requests in 1 to 2 days. You can request to join our Facebook community at ADHDrewired.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. Still thinking about hiring a coach? Don't worry, you're not alone. I talked to someone just this week who told me they'd been thinking about calling me for months. But this week, they took action. You can do what he did and schedule a free 20-minute consultation with me. We can talk by Skype or phone. Go to erictivers.com and click the blue bar on the right to book your appointment. Or go to the homepage at ADHD Rewired and click the blue bar to book your free 20-minute consultation. Show your support for ADHD Rewired by going to iTunes or Stitcher and leave an honest rating and review. Don't forget to click subscribe in iTunes so you never miss an episode. You can also follow and share ADHD Rewired on SoundCloud. The CHAD International Conference on ADHD is coming to Chicago November 13th through 15th, 2014. I will be a speaker there. Find out more at chadd.org. That's CHADD.org. Also, if you live in the Northern Illinois area, I would like to invite you to come to the Northern Illinois chapter of CHAD. We meet on the third Monday of the month at 6:45 in Grays Lake. Meetings are open to the public and are free. You can just go to the Google and enter CHAD of Northern Illinois. Again, it's CHAD with 2 Ds. Our meetup page and our Facebook page will appear. And quick note, CHAD has not endorsed me, this podcast, or this message, but I want to need to know. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions on what would make ADHD Rewired even better, please contact me through my website, ADHDrewired.com. Do you have ideas for show topics, or maybe you'd like to be a guest on this show? Go to ADHDrewired.com and use the contact form on that page. To the members of my online coaching group, isn't it amazing to see the tasks and projects that you're getting accomplished now that you're getting them out of your head? Seeing what you have accomplished this first week has really been amazing. You guys are all at different points, and you guys are already making such great progress. And I want to give a special thanks to my accountability partners this week. Even I've been a bit surprised as to how much more I've gotten done. To everyone out there who is working so hard to get things done, remember, success is a direction. So when you fail, fail forward. Until next time. On the Running Lifestyle podcast, Kari interviews all kinds of interesting and inspiring people.
I interviewed chocolate-covered pretzels.
But unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, that interview won't be released.